Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more of the Shell Part 1 Inferno. Last time we left off, we commenced on our hunt for the motherfucker that killed Tojiko. I don't even think we really got too much information really from it. I think we were just kind of wandering around. So, oh goddamn, that's loud. Let me turn that down.
Ohayo, Yukari.
I woke to a morning just like any other.
今日も捜査ですか?
そうだな。いや、今日はちょっと学院へ寄ってみるか。
I was concerned about Toko's condition. Not just her condition, everything surrounding her yesterday was bothering me. I was hoping nothing bad had happened to her.
それではもう準備をされないといけないのではありませんか?
あ、そうだな。少し急ぐとするか。
I was playing the part of a teacher, so I at least had to put in the effort to fit
着
in.
替えてくるから、出るのはもう少し待ってくれ。
ええ、わかっています。
Yukari nodded and I returned to my room to change. Oh god, here we go again. I drearily watched the falling cherry blossoms. Last night had boded ill for my sleep. Though I'd been in bed for the whole time, dawn came and went without me having managed so much as a wink. I left for school early because I'd wanted to get away from home as soon as possible. However, I headed for the art room instead of my classroom. I wanted to keep working on my drawing. Maybe I'll bring the easel outside the way Toko always does. My mind toyed with that notion as I finally arrived at the club room. I put my bag down and looked for my sketchbook. The one on the desk was Toko's. Though I felt guilty, I couldn't help but flip through it. Her drawings were just as beautiful as I'd imagined. The use of colors, brushwork, and line work were literal strokes of genius. I wanted to draw as well as her someday. Real quick, obviously I'm running on the theory that the artist guy, Shinzo Mamiya, is Toko's real father. I never really put this together, but Toko's father is an artist. And she's an artist. Just want to throw that out there. I knew Toko's artistic talent better than anyone else. And yet, I ruminated on what I'd witnessed at school just the other day. I knew how amazing Toko was, better than anyone. And yet, Toko could not afford to be tainted. Ever. My Toko had to be a sweet and pure creature. What do I do? If this goes on, my Toko will... I bit my lip hard enough to nod off while I stared at Toko's drawings. So, I do remember saying this at the end of the last episode. Toko is gonna fucking snap at some point. Short-haired Toko is going to fucking snap. And I feel like long-haired Toko is also close to having something of a breakdown as well. So... I went to school with Yukari. Though I hadn't been there in a while, things felt much lonelier without Suzuriko. Yukari hung her head without uttering a single word the entire trip. She must have felt the same. We saw Ayumu Sato once we arrived at school.
おはようございます。時坂先輩。佐藤さん、おはよう。先生もおはようございます。
ああ、おはよう。
今日から授業を行うのですか?
いや、授業の予定は入っていないはずだが。
そうでしたか。先生の授業は楽しいので期待していたのですが。
面白いか?
ええ、ためになります。試験には出そうにありませんけれど。
ただ俺の趣味を喋っているだけだからね。
少しは自重してくださいね、兄さん。
Yukari said that with a somewhat exasperated look on her visage. I took shelter in the history prep room and plopped down onto a chair. First things first, I had to see Toko. I sent Yukari to check her classroom and let me know whether Toko was in or not, so in the meantime I decided to contemplate the murders. Ah! Here we go. The stuffed-egged killings had occurred on the end of March and the start of April. Meanwhile, Suzuriko had died on a dismemberment murder case. The cases seemed completely unrelated, but maybe there was a connection after all. Yes! Simply taking into account the fact that they'd all been murdered meant these crimes could have been committed by the same person. The first order of business was confirming what the victims had in common. I'd probably find something in my notebook. Probably the fact that they'd all been fucking dismembered, I don't know. No. Sleeping in a vagabond. Faint traces of blood on covered in cuts. Abandoned cuts. Expect mysterious scraps. The Agnianus. Letter from Toko. Easter Festival. Oh shit, we're already at a point where we have another fucking page of this shit. Okay. Book release parties as a photograph. Eyewitness accounts. Limbs. That might be, yeah. Time death, murder weapon. Assault ways you dismember the body. Maybe that as well. Maybe this? No, probably not. Okay, well, fuck me. Goddamn. This game is brutal, brother. Goddamn. Okay, we're gonna reload. We're gonna give it a little bit more thought, aren't we?
One eternity later.
Alright, so, I mean, I don't think... I've been sitting here for way too long trying to, like, just choosing option after option. I don't think there's an actual answer to that, but if you guys know if there is or not, then please let me know. Because I feel like I just sat there and wasted so much fucking time trying to figure out an answer that doesn't even fucking exist. So, if you guys know the answer to that, please let me know. That'd be awesome. But, we're gonna go ahead and move on. I looked up to find Yukari at the door.
Yukari ka.
今日朽木さんは来ているそうです。ですがすぐに保健室に行かれたとか。どうもまだ体調がよろしくないようです。
そうか。
If she kept getting worse, then maybe it'd be best to let her head home early.
随分と朽木さんのことを心配されているようですね。
Uh-oh.
それはまあ。
Yukari's gonna find out. Was that seriously the best answer I had?
まあ、いいんですけれどね。兄さんがどこで誰と何をされようと。
She knows. She absolutely knows. Ouch. She didn't even try to bite. I can't speak. She didn't even try to hide the bite behind those words. She was on to us. Definitely. I just knew it.
では、私は授業がありますので、これで失礼しますね。
Yukari left with a grin and a bow. Man, I guess I should pay Toko a visit. I knocked on the infirmary door and waited a bit.
どうぞ、空いてるわよ。
失礼します。
あら、時坂先生。朽木さんの様子を見に来たのかしら？
Nene flashed me an impish smile.
眠っているようですね。
ええ、どうやら貧血のようね。薬は持っているようだから自覚はあるのでしょうけれど。
Nene crossed her arms. I glanced at the bed. Toko was resting there, blissfully asleep. There wasn't any point in disrupting the slumber she needed.
一度きちんと病院で検査を受けた方がいいかもしれないわね。
かもしれませんね。
However, the Kichikis were a family of doctors, so they were most likely already covered on that
また
front.
後で様子を見に来ます。それでは。
ええ。
I left the infirmary. With nothing better to do, I decided to hunker down in the prep room. I burst into the hallway as soon as class ended. Still forbidden to run in the halls, I walked as briskly as possible toward the infirmary.
Toko.
I lowered my voice when I saw Toko was asleep. It seemed she yet to wake. I gently laid a hand against her cheek. Toko twitched slightly. The tiniest of movements was all it took to send my heart soaring to the skies above. How beautiful Toko was. How adorable Toko was. This was the way she was meant to be. Anything else was unacceptable. Professor Tokisaka wasn't around. Now's my chance. I reached over by the bed and fished through Toko's bag. It's all this wretched thing's fault. Toko would never have lost her luster if it wasn't for this. I must protect Toko. She couldn't even be allowed to depend on a man, not those filthy creatures. That man must have given this to her, I'm sure of it. So if I just get rid of this thing... I returned to my classroom and dumped everything I had on hand into the garbage bin. There. That should do it. Now should be my Toko and mine alone. I honestly can't recall what I would have given her. That's my bad. It's been a quick minute. The chime signaling the end of classes rang. In the end, I spent the whole school day waiting in the history prep room.
しまったな。
I would have gone investigating if I'd known it'd be like this. Maybe all I'd accomplished was letting the sands in the hourglass trickle away bit by bit. Thus, I decided it was finally time for me to get moving. But first, I had to check on Toko.
あら、入れ違いになったわね。
Nene gave me another teasing smile when I dropped by the infirmary.
何ですか？
朽木さんだったら先ほど出て行ったわよ。
そうでしたか。
I didn't even have the energy left to bother denying it any longer. Not when faced with a look like that.
何か慌てていたようだけれど、もしかしたら時坂先生を探していたのかもしれないわよ。
それはないでしょ
Sheesh, what's this woman's game?
美術室にでも行ってみたらどうかしら。
う。そうですね。では、失礼します。
I left the infirmary. The art room, huh? That's as good a place as any to start. I headed toward the clubhouse. Discolored cherry blossoms littered the schoolyard. In the end, I found Toko rummaging around in the art room just like Nene had suggested.
ああ、ここにいたのか。
先生。
Toko walked away from a corner stacked with easels when she saw me.
何をしていたんだ？
ああ、なんでもないんだ。
Her cheeks looked flushed. Furthermore, her forehead was clammy with a faint film of sweat.
何か探し物でもしていたのか？
ううん、もう大丈夫さ。
Toko acted as if nothing had happened.
体調は良くないんだろ？
今はそうでもないよ。少し休んだから調子はいい方なんだ。
痩せ我慢はするなよ。
してないよ。
Toko scowled.
私なら大丈夫だよ。心配いらないから。昨日できなかった分も今日は絵を描きたいんだ。
Toko smiled, set her sketchbook on an easel, and sat down.
探偵の仕事で忙しいのでしょ。私に構わず早く犯人を見つけるといいよ。
そうなんだがな。無理はするなよ。
I realized it was probably best I didn't interrupt her.
先生は心配性だね。また明日。
ああ、また明日な。
I was greeted by a red world when I emerged outside. Where to?
Here we go.
Maybe we look around the girls' academy a little bit more. I don't really have anything to do with the museum. Shinjuku Station, maybe. Let's take around the academy and see what happens. I passed by the school gates. Now, what to do? I heard a sound behind
お
me.
や、水原さん？
先生。
And would you speak of the devil?
どうしたんだい？
なんでもありません。
Toko flinched for a second, only to regain her composure and shoot me another one of her hostile glares.
朽木さんだったら美術室にいたよ。
そんなこと先生に聞かなくても分かってます。
Toko looked away.
失礼します。
She turned around and went back into the school. Probably to meet with Toko, I figured. I really would have appreciated if she opened up to me a little, though. Okay. Takashito Clinic. Maybe. Maybe. I'm so tempted to save, but I don't think it's worth it. I kind of want to go to Takashito Clinic. I'm not gonna lie. I went to Takadano Baba. Takashito was standing in front of his sister's
よ
clinic.
奇遇だな。
好きでこんなところに来るわけないだろう。いろいろと調べているうちにここまで来ちまったんだから。
なんだ、兄弟水入らずというわけじゃなかったのか。
当たり前だ。西武新宿線の沿線を調べたら高田の馬場にだって来るだろう。それはそうとお前にも話すことがあったんだ。
俺に？
なあ、それにしても今日は寒いな。
中に入ればいいじゃないか。
I gestured over to the clinic.
冗談じゃねえ。なんだって夏姉のところになんかっておい腕を引っ張るな。
Despite Takashido's efforts to resist, I dragged him right into the clinic.
あらあらあら、まあまあまあ、ようこそお越しなはりましたな、しゅうちゃん。
Natsume squeezed her brother for dear life the moment she saw him.
夏姉苦しい。
Takashido groaned, but his face buried deep in Natsume's chest.
仲いいな。
せやろせやろ、もう食べちゃいたいくらいなんだっす。
食べちゃえばいいじゃないですか。
おいこの時坂、勝手なこと言ってんじゃん。
おいちゃん、ちょっとそっちの部屋へ行きまひょか、しゅうちゃん。
Takashido sent Natsume flying the moment she tried to haul him off.
しゅうちゃんに暴力振るわれた。傷物になってもった。責任取ってもらわなあきまへんわ。
勘弁してくれ。
Yes, I too very much wanted a break from this sibling comedy duo.
なあ高城、それはそうと話ってなんだ。
ああ、ちょうど1週間前、4月3日に新宿でよそ見や綴り子らしき姿を見た人がいた。
4月3日？
Isn't that the day when we...
しかも男と歩いていたらしい。夜だったが、これはしっかりとした目撃情報だぞ。
なあ高城、
Probably us, right?
それはどんなやつだった？
そうだな。強いて言うなら、お前みたいな。
Yep, it was us. Takashido suddenly stopped and studied my face.
確かに3日は綴り子と新宿を歩いていたな。ついでに言っておくと、綴り子がいなくなったのは5日の夜だ。
So that was useless information. Well,
飽きまへんな、しゅうちゃんは。その程度のボケやったらちいとも笑えまへん。
Natsume proceeded to pour salt onto the wound.
まあ、今後も調査をよろしく頼むわ。
That was all I could bring myself to say. You know, the guy kind of looked like you. Toko sat down and heaved a deep sigh. She couldn't find it. She couldn't find her medicine. This was bad. Fumiya had told her the medicine was for fighting off those bouts of anemia that had been all too frequent lately. He'd also said to take it in the morning and at noon, so Toko had done just that. She'd had an attack shortly after she got to school this morning, and thus she'd gone to the infirmary to give herself a shot. Injecting herself in the arm hadn't been easy, but she was used to it by this point. However, her noon shot had disappeared. Toko had seen it in her bag when she left this morning, but it suddenly up and vanished. She wondered if she left it somewhere by mistake. Thus, she retraced her steps in the infirmary, classroom, and art room, only to turn up empty-handed. Empty-handed. What's more, it was a syringe, so there's no way she could mistake something else for it. Yeah, because fucking Toko stole your goddamn medication. Toko left the school with her mind in a daze. She'd given up on finding the medicine, but all she had to do was rest and she'd eventually feel better. It was with that thought that she took one slow step after another. Running was out of the question, since it felt like she'd run low on blood if she tried. Toko stopped at the roadside. She'd been rather rude to Reiji earlier. Even though he'd shown concern about her for a change, she'd rebuffed him. Perhaps she'd been irritated because she couldn't find her medicine back then. She'd have to apologize the next time they met. After all, she didn't want to worry him. Togisaka's a nice person, and so I'm sure he'd have stayed with me. However, she knew that was a pipe dream. For Togisaka was a teacher and a detective. She wanted him to solve the case. She wanted him to avenge her friend's death. Though she and Suzuriko hadn't talked all that much, they didn't change the fact that they'd been friends. He's a detective who sincerely wishes to solve crimes. That's why Toko erased the rest of that sentence from her mind, for she promised never to utter those words. Uh-oh. Toko's vision suddenly went dark. Her senses failed one after another. Oh no. Her body was wobbling. She promptly stuck a foot out to stabilize herself, but she couldn't fight it, and thus she staggered a few steps forward. Toko saw something blue approaching her. However, by the time she realized it was a giant truck... Oh shit. Toko collapsed to the ground. The truck's wheels had crushed her leg like a weightless feather. Damn! what the fuck? Okay. Did something happen to me? She couldn't move. Though only barely, she could make out the school gates. Damn! What the fuck? She just gets hit by a truck all of a sudden? Clouds of dust scratched at her eyes. Toko saw someone running toward her from afar. It was... Jesus fucking Christ, man.
急げ、時間がないんだ。現場での応急処置だけでは不十分です。早く緊急手術を。分かっている。落ち着け。患者を手術室へ。
Whoa!
はい。
The stretcher was unloaded from the ambulance and hurried into the hospital, my bad.
確か当庫の血液は冷凍保存されていたな。ええ、持ってきてはいるのですが、量がすでに致死量を超えるほどの出血を伴っていますから。そうか。当庫に輸血はできんからな。保存していた血液で足りなければ他の方法を考えねばならんが。村瀬。あ、患者の容体は。全身に骨折と創傷が見られます。ひどいもんですな。生きているのが不思議なくらいです。生かすのが我々の仕事だよ。村瀬、あれの準備を整えておいてくれたまえ。わかりました。海や千鶴はどうした？千鶴でしたら家に残してきました。正直。やはりお前は千鶴の方が大事か。父さん、今はそんなこと言っている場合ではないでしょう。わかっている。血はつながらなかろうと私の孫だからな。血の濃すぎる孫よりずっと。
So Fumiya has a thing for Chizuru. Jesus.
父さん、これ以上お前と話している時間はない。まずは生かすことを第一に考える。
Toko's family, which isn't even blood related, is pretty fucked up, isn't it? Fumiya has a crush on his... I guess that would be his sister. Jeez, that's disgusting. Yasutsuda vanished into the operating room. Fumiya collapsed into a nearby chair, doing everything in his power to keep the irritation within from bursting out. It's alright. Father's skills are top-notch. I'm sure he'll save Toko. But if she doesn't make it... God, how will I even go on if she dies? The orderly hums and beeps of machinery, the hiss of inhalation and exhalation, myriad tubes of myriad colors stuck into her, some red, some yellow, and some transparent, the stench of antiseptic, the faint whiff of ammonia in the air. Was she awake? Or had she yet to emerge from her slumber? Toko was in a blindingly white room. She was flat on a bed, her whole body wrapped in bandages. Doctors had been cycling in to check on her for quite some time now. All the machines had been brought in made the room feel awfully cramped. Toko stared vacantly at the ceiling. Was she seeing something? Or nothing at all? The minute ascent and descent of her chest, the minute ascent and descent of her chest was the only sign she was still alive. So much is happening. So much is happening so very fucking fast. She didn't just get hit by a car, she got hit by a fucking truck. So, I mean, I think it's only fair to save... Oh, here we go.
まるで寝台の上にしっかりと固定されているような感じ。意識があるのに動かない。もしかしてこれも夢だとしても、もっと色のある夢が良かった。黒一色の何もない夢。本当に私は眠っているのだろうか。もしかしてこれは現実？
兄さん、起きてください。
I woke once again to Yukari rocking me.
朝か。
兄さんにお電話が来ています。
電話？誰からだ？
佐伯教頭先生からです。
教頭から？
What could he want? I got up and picked up the phone over in the living room.
もしもし、お待たせいたしました。
あ、時坂先生、大変なことになってしまいました。
教頭？何があったんですか？
I readjusted my grip on the receiver and listened closely.
それが、昨日、朽木東子さんが事故に遭われまして。
なんですって？事故ですか？
ねえ、学院の前でトラックにはねられてしまい。
My world spun for an instant.
それで、容体は？
一命は取り留めたそうです。ですが、重傷らしく、現在は中野にある朽木病理学研究所に収容されています。
そうですか。わざわざどうもすみません。
I answered with as much calm as I could muster.
私もこれから病院へ向かいますが、時坂先生は？
自分も行きます。では、また後ほど。
With that, I hung up the phone.
兄さん、何があったのですか？
Yukari looked at me, features drawn into deep lines of concern.
東子。朽木さんが事故に遭ったらしい。
朽木さんが事故？
ああ、事故だ。事件じゃない。
Right. It was a simple car accident. It wasn't like someone had attacked her.
結局のところ、同じなのかもしれないが。
My mind was consumed with worry about Toko.
出かけてくる。ゆかり、お前は学院へ行くんだ。
I got changed and darted for Nakano, leaving a shaken Yukari behind. I raced over to the Kuchiki Pathological Research Institute to find Saeki already there.
佐伯教頭。
しばらくここで待つようにと所長が言っておりました。
Saeki appeared to have calmed down.
時坂先生。
どうも、朽木さん。
Fumiya looked gaunt, like he hadn't slept in a lifetime. He'd probably been here all night. No surprise, seeing how it was his niece under the knife and all.
わざわざすみません。
いえ。
I glanced from Fumiya over to Chizuru, who was sitting in a chair behind her brother. Chizuru looked more haggard than Fumiya did, from what I could tell anyway. She simply hung her head without uttering so much as a word. In that moment, she most resembled an empty shell. I turned to find Toko standing by the entrance. Her shoulders heaved as she panted. She must have run all the way from the station.
Mizuhara-san.
Yeah, Mizuhara was the one who stole her fucking medication, which caused her to fucking pass out in the first place.
どこはどうなんですか？
落ち着くんだ。大丈夫。朽木さんは無事だよ。
I looked at Fumiya as I said that. He gave Toko a small nod of his own.
私。
今、父を呼んできます。
Fumiya turned and headed down the hallway. Before long, Fumiya came back and brought us over to Director Kuchiki's office. The director looked just as fatigued as his children.
患者の容体は安定している。術後の経過は順調だ。今のところは。
今のところは？
うん。脊髄の一部に損傷が見られる。下肢に麻痺が残るだろう。体中に骨折があり、その治療も難しい。
Jesus. Yasutada hung his head once he finished.
今朝方、意識を取り戻しはしたのだが。
話できますか？
Toko finally broke her silence right then and there.
話はできるだろうが、一つだけ約束してほしい。
何でしょうか？
今私が言った容体について彼女には言わないでほしい。
トークはまだ知らないのですか？
精神的に落ち着いてから私が告げる。今はしばらくそっとしておいてほしい。
Jesus Christ.
わかりました。
Toko nodded. We entered a room with no windows. Toko was resting in a bed. Her face poking out from under the covers was completely unmarred. However, her arms were swathed in layers upon layers of bandages. It almost seemed like she was merely sleeping. Toko hurried over to the bed.
こえているよ、トウコ。
Toko slowly opened her eyes.
心配かけてしまったようだね、トウコ。
私
Tears cascaded down Choco's cheeks.
撫でてあげたいけれど、どうも腕が動かないんだ。参ったね。
そんな、いいからトウコ。
もっとよく顔を見せておくれ。首も動かないんだ。
Toko moved her face closer to Toko's.
泣いてはいけないよ、トウコ。かわいい顔が台無しじゃないか。
Toko fell to her knees.
時坂先生はそこにいるのかい？
ああ、
こっちへ来てくれないかな。
I immediately acquiesced and approached her bedside. Toko looked up at me.
先生、心配かけてごめんね。
However, her voice was as frail as a withering tree. Hardly a hint of her melodious timbre remained.
トウコ。
I gently placed my hand on her cheek. Her skin was ice cold. It almost felt like her blood had ceased flowing altogether.
先生の手、温かいね。
Toko closed her eyes. A tear leaked out and inaudibly splashed against my finger.
今は休んで、しっかり体力を回復させるんだ。
うん。
I quietly moved away from Toko, leaving her with her friend and family. Saiki was waiting for me out in the hallway.
佐伯挙動、彼女が事故に遭ったのは確か学院の前でしたよね。
ええ、そうですが、
何か当時の状況を知りませんか？
現場検証をした警察官の話では、朽木さんは突然道路へ倒れ込んできたということです。
先ほどの彼女の様子ではそれはないでしょうね。
そうですね。
Saiki nodded solemnly.
ではなぜ？
貧血ですよ。
Fumiya chimed in after exiting Toko's room.
貧血？
ええ、トウコちゃんの貧血は少々特殊でして、定期的にビタミンや鉄分を投与しなくてはならないのです。ですが、昨日は投与していなかったようです。
それはなぜですか？
わかりません。ただ、いつも持たせていたアンプルと注射器がカバンに入っていませんでした。
それで貧血が起こって道路に飛び出してしまった。
そんな。
A voice quivered right behind me. I turned around and saw Toko at the doorway to Toko's room, shivering like a newborn fawn.
水原さん。
そんなのって。
Yep, that's right. You almost fucking killed your goddamn
大丈夫か
your
い？
friend.
私、
Bitch.
失礼します。
Toko flew right by me, her head hung low. Her bizarre shift in attitude piqued my curiosity. Why? Why did this have to happen to Toko? I'd been at the school the whole time that day. I'd watched Toko pass through the gates from behind, and yet I hadn't been able to bring myself to say anything to her. Not after what I'd done. I wanted to just disappear somewhere. And so I boarded a bus at the station, got off at some random stop, and aimlessly wandered around. I'd never seen this town before. Still with no goal in mind, I mindlessly ambled about the residential district until I hit a cul-de-sac.
ここは
Uh-oh. It was a building that didn't look like your ordinary house. I searched for a nameplate but couldn't find one. Simply a board at the gate post that displayed the address.
下落合
I'd heard of that place before. But when? And why? I didn't have any friends who lived here or anything.
帰ろう。
Whatever it was, this place was cold and gave me the creeps. However, when I turned around, I saw someone standing before me. Oh my god. No fucking way. What? What? Huh? So, Toko just gets hit by a truck, gets presumably her leg shattered. You know, she gets fucked up basically. She's probably paralyzed from the waist down. Won't be able to walk again. Almost died. All because fucking Mizuhara stole her medication and threw it away. And then she ran off somewhere, found herself having wandered to some random house, and just goes to black? I stood at the road that bordered Obagirls Academy's gates. It really had just been a stone's throw away. Though the scene had already been cleaned, tire tracks were still visibly scorched into the pavement. The cops must have poured some water to wash away the blood. Yet it felt like the stains still firmly lingered.
行きましょうか。
ええ、学内の捜査をするということでしたが、
どこかに朽木さんの薬が隠されている可能性があります。昨日の放課後から学院内で何か変化があったところはありますか？
いえ、特にはないと思います。
わかりました。では。
I faced off against the school gates. Now then, if I were Toku's medicine, where would I be? Let me think. Well, let's take a little visiting to the classroom. It was break time, so I decided to use that to my advantage and check out the classroom.
兄さん
I found Yukari inside.
ちょっと調べ物だ。なあ、ゆかり。ここで注射器みたいなものを見ていないか？
注射器ですか？いえ、見ていませんね。
そうか。少し調べさせてもらうぞ。
I approached Toko's desk and checked inside. It was empty. Nothing remotely akin to medicine was in there. Figured as much. Toko would have noticed if it were. So it's gotta be somewhere else. I looked around and spotted a garbage can in the corner. Maybe in there. Unfortunately, I only found several bald pieces of paper. Done, huh? I just have to look somewhere else. What? It wasn't there? Okay, let's keep looking, I guess. Let's save just in case. I'm kind of fucking stressed. Alright. I went to the infirmary.
あら、時坂先生、どうかなさいましたか？
赤崎先生、ここで朽木さんの薬を見ませんでしたか？
朽木さんの？いいえ、見ていないわよ。確か注射器だったわよね。
知っているんですか？
そりゃ、許可を出したのは私ですもの。
ああ、そうでしたか。
She was a school nurse, so maybe that only stood to reason.
朽木さんの様子はどうでしたか？
ええ。一命は取り留めましたが、予断を許さない状況でしょうね。
そう、治療は難しいのでしょうね。
Nini's voice was somber.
他のところを探してみます。
ええ、お役に立てなくてごめんなさいね。
Oh well, so much for that. I just have to look somewhere else. Schoolyard? Art room seems kind of obvious, so I'm kind of saving that to last. I went over to the schoolyard only to find Ayumu carrying a waste paper basket not too far away. That's what we're looking for right there.
時坂先生、こんにちは。
ああ、何をしているんだい？
ゴミを捨てに行くんです。
Ayumu showed me the basket.
昨日、教室を掃除した人が忘れていたらしくて、ゴミ箱がいっぱいになっていましたから。
昨日？普段は捨てているんだよね。
ええ、それが何か。
Ayumu cocked her head.
昨日捨てられたゴミはどこにあるんだい？
この先の焼却炉ですが。
連れて行ってもらえるかな？
それは構いませんが。
Ayumu led me to the incinerator.
ここです。まだ燃やしていないようですね。
ありがとう。
I opened the lid to the incinerator and looked inside. Garbage was piled up. I stuck a nearby shovel into the trash and began fishing through it.
先生。
Ayumu looked on quizzically.
ちょっと探しているものがあるんだ。なんだこりゃ。
I momentarily froze in shock when I found something bloodstained, but it turned out to be nothing more than a simple sanitary napkin.
先生。
Ayumu shot me the most exasperated look I'd ever seen from her.
いや、これを探していたわけじゃないからな。
そう信じています。
Listen, Aimu. I had a perfect guy. By a long shot. I may or may not have fucked around with some kids in my time, but God, you know, that's out of context. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna shut my mouth right there. I continued my work, undaunted by her cold glare. Eventually, I found some sort of cylinder deep within the massive pile.
ここにあったか。
Though covered in filth, I knew it was probably Toko's syringe. I also found an ampule full of medicine. I carefully wrapped them in a handkerchief so as not to get my fingerprints on them, then placed them in my suit pocket.
見つかりましたか？
なあ、ありがとう。付き合わせてしまって悪かったね。
いえ。
Aimu threw the contents of her wastebasket into the incinerator as she spoke.
私はただこれを捨てたくて待っていただけですから。
それはすまなかったね。
頑張ってくださいね、時坂先生。
I like Aimu. Aimu encouraged me with a smile. She's like the one normal character we get to interact with in this whole fucking thing. I mean, Yukari is obsessed with bugs. Suzuriko was a fucking energetic ball of fucking, I don't know. She's just super fucking energetic. Then obviously you have Toko, who's already super whimsical and wistful and into men, older men. And then Toko is just straight up fucking crazy. So, I mean, and then of course Orihime was like a leader of a prostitution drug ring, and oh god. It was already evening by the time I arrived in Takeda Baba. Hope Natsume's around.
おや、時坂はんやりまへんか。
夏目さん、これの鑑定を頼めますか？
I presented the syringe and medicine I'd found at the school.
エロバッチーな。なんですの？
注射器の指紋と、できれば薬の成分も調べてください。
何の薬かは分かっとりますの？
貧血の薬だそうです。
貧血ね。鉄分とビタミンやろか。赤血球やなんかは輸血の方がええやろしな。
Natsume held the ampule up to the light.
いつまでに分かればええの？
そう急ぐ必要もありませんが、明日までにはできますか？
十分せかしとるんちゃいます？
そんなことはありませんが、お願いします。
まあええよ。やっておきますわ。
I went straight home from Takeda Baba.
おかえりなさい、兄さん。
ああ、ただいま。
疲れておいでのようですね。
そうかもな。
I plopped down onto the chair. That was all it took to make me never want to get back up again. I closed my eyes and rubbed them. Toko. What has she done to deserve any of this? All I could do was pray for her safe recovery. I mean, yeah, Jesus fucking Christ, all this shit is happening at once.
感染症だと？はい。早急に輸血を行わねば危険な状態です。
Oh, Jesus Christ.
しかし、患者の血液には限りがある。他者からの輸血もできない以上、あれを試すしかないでしょう。あれか。やむを得ないな。村瀬君、すぐに手術の準備を。わかりました。私は医者だ。医者であるならば、患者の生命を救うことに全力を尽くさねばならない。
Alright, let's take a chill pill. Oh, Jesus Christ. No fucking way. This is the last thing we need right now. They'd met at the perfect place. An invitation inside, a cup of coffee, and some chit-chat had ensued. My, what a lovely name you have. The compliment was followed by her bashfully mentioning that her friend had the exact same name. As much as I don't like Toko, this is pretty brutal. Every question she asked was answered, and the more they talked, the paler her face grew. She tried to escape. Unfortunately for her, it had already been too late from the moment they met. It was then that the sleeping drug mixed into her coffee finally took effect. Now, let's begin. The girl was laid atop the table, her pastel uniform torn off. With that, her slim white limbs were exposed. Maybe this one's a little too thin. No, this might be exactly what I need. The girl was gagged and restrained to the table. A firmly set saw was raised and pressed against the base of her right arm. The tip of the blade gnawed into her pale skin, carving a red line into it. Watching blood be spilled brought none there any joy, hence why no time was wasted in sawing away. God, bro! Okay, alright, this motherfucking gunning nigga, gunning him down, switching him down. Holy shit. I mean, this guy is on a fucking generational spree. He got 2 others before he got to Suzuriko, and he just happens to run into Toko, which, mind you, Toko had just in a daze happened to wander to this house, to the guy's fucking lair. She just happened to wander over there. And he happened to, oh, whoa, holy shit. And now she's just no hesitation, drugged her and instantly fucking killing her. The girl's eyes shot open. She searched for who was responsible for her plight. That said, she probably didn't have any idea what was happening. Some blood spatter got into her eye. She moaned quietly and shut them. It looked almost as if she were shedding tears of blood. Her right arm fell to the floor. Work quickly shifted to her left arm, followed by her legs. By then, the girl had long since ceased to react to anything. Her limbs were heaped up like kindling. They were no longer necessary. The usual fate awaited them. The cut surfaces were sealed up with papier-mâché, then subsequently held in place with bandages. All the remaining work would take place in the next room. Oh, I'll have to pick up some more papier-mâché. Alright, and Toko's dead. Awesome. Okay. Lately, each new morning brought a new tragedy alongside the sun's rays. I felt like someone else I knew either died or vanished every time I woke up. By this point, I just wanted to put this maddening cycle to a definitive end. Today's agenda involved visiting Toko in the hospital before checking to see if Natsume had finished analyzing the syringe and medicine. I got off the train in Nakano Station and went to the Kuchiki Pathological Research Institute. The entrance was unlocked even though it was extremely early.
Tokisaka sensei, ohayou gozaimasu.
An exhausted Fumiya was languishing on a bench.
泊まられていたのですか。
ええ。昨晩、トウコちゃんの容体が急変しまして、父が緊急手術を行いまして。
容体が？それでどうなっているんですか？
詳しいことは僕も
What
聞かされていません。
they were really acting like this emergency procedure was like some kind of like absolute last resort, don't want to touch it unless, a gun to your head kind of thing. Fumiya hung his head.
時坂先生
Chizuru emerged from a nearby hospital room. She'd probably been sleeping in there. The 2 Kuchiki siblings looked positively rattled.
わざわざお越しいただいて申し訳ありません。
いえ、自分も気にかかっていましたから。
そうでしたか。
Chizuru limply slumped onto the bench.
私は何もあの子のことを知らなかったのですね。
子供のことを完璧に理解している親はいませんよ。
違うんです。私は
What?
あの子が病気だったということも知らなかったのです。
病気？貧血のことですか？
I glanced at Fumiya.
トウコちゃんは再生不良性貧血なんです。
それは普通の貧血とは違うんですか？
ええ。体内の血液を作り出す細胞が減少してしまうんです。それに加え、彼女の血液はボンベイ型と呼ばれる大変珍しいものでして、輸血も満足に行えないのです。
では、事故後の手術でも輸血は行っていないのですか？
健康だった頃の血液を保存してあります。もっとも、それも彼女がそういう血液型だと判明してからですが。
Fumio shook his head.
ボンベイ型というのは発見されてからまだ4年も経っていないのです。
そんな。
ですが父は輸血に頼らずに治療できると言っていました。事実昨晩の手術も成功したと聞いています。
What the fuck does that
そうですか。ですが、なぜそんな重要なことを千鶴さんに伝えていなかったのですか？
That part still irked me.
千鶴には負担をかけたくなかったんです。先生もご存知の通り、トウコちゃんは養子でしたから。
それがいいことだったのかどうか自分には分かりませんが、そういったことを乗り越えてこそ本当の親子だと思いますけどね。
おっしゃる通りかもしれませんね。
Yeah, it's kind of a fucked up thing to keep from the person that's her mother. Fumio hung his head. Chizuru did the same, not saying a word.
これで失礼します。お二人ともきちんと体を休ませた方がいいですよ。
I left the hospital after giving them that advice. I spotted Saito exiting his car on my way out.
斉藤先生、いい車に乗ってらっしゃいますね。
何？払い下げのビュイックですよ。
Some Buick the American military didn't need. Hey man, a Buick? It seemed like they weren't kidding when they said doctors made bank. I didn't even have the cash for a down payment on a car like that.
しかし、大変なことになっているようですね。
ええ。ここ数日休まる暇もありませんよ。
だいぶ疲れているようですね。私のところへ来てくれれば、薬くらいでしたら調合してお渡ししますよ。
ヒロポンのようなものは結構ですよ。
あれはすでに法律で規制されましたから出せませんよ。
睡眠薬のようなものでしたら、朽木さんのご家族に出してあげた方が良いかもしれませんね。
They'd probably gotten little to no sleep after all.
朽木君も医師ですから、そのくらいの薬品は扱えるでしょう。私が役に立てるのは回復した後の精神的な手助けだけですからね。
Saito made his way into the hospital.
もちろん彼女の回復には時坂さん、あなたの協力も必要でしょうから頑張ってくださいね。
ええ、わかりました。
では私はこれで。
Saito went inside. My help, huh? Right now, all I could do was try. I went to Shinjuku to check out my office. However, as a squad car, a Crown, pulled up right in front of me shortly after I left the station.
レジ！どうした、ウォズミ？
Uzome got out of the car, his face grim and agitated.
また出やがったぞ。今度は下井草だ。
また。
I realized what he was getting at before I even finished the sentence. We had another body on our hands.
前と。綴り子の時と同じか。
よそ見は綴り子だな。大体同じだ。
大体。どういうことだ？
We were both choosing our words carefully since we were out in the open.
その話は後だ。まずは乗れ。鑑識も終わっているだろうが、行くだろう。
Jesus fucking Christ, man. Jesus fucking Christ. Can we get a break? Can we get a fucking break? Suzuriko gets fucking killed. Then Toko gets hit by a truck and paralyzed. And then the other Toko gets fucking killed. Not only does she get killed, she literally walks straight up to the killer's house and gets murked. I nodded and slid in the back, upon which the car sped off toward the west. The car went west down Waseda Street until we ended up around Shimoigusa. The roads here were narrow, meaning to be a nightmare if two cars were to pass by each other. Eventually, we got out to a vacant lot.
この辺りから西武線の線路を越えて下石神井まで早稲田通りに沿って獅子がばらまかれていやがった。
Well, this should be in that area, right? Because I think the Shimo bit was what was on the address that of the house that Toko went up to.
4カ所か。
ああ、1本ずつ黒い袋に入れられてな。車の窓から投げ捨てたのは間違いないだろう。
犯人は車か。
That backed up the possibility I'd considered after Suzuriko's murder.
遺体を包む方法といい、同一犯と見て間違いないだろう。
ああ。身元は？
まだだ。
Excuse me.
お前を拾う前に高田の馬場へ届けたばかりだったからな。
Tsunatsume was handling it then. I crouched down and studied the road. Sunlight bathed me from head on. The police must have already finished their on-site inspection, though they'd obviously found nothing. After all, Uzomi would have told me otherwise. Then again, they wouldn't have exactly had much to go on apart from eyewitness accounts if the limbs were indeed thrown out of the moving car.
昨晩だろうな。遺棄現場に止まっていた車の目撃はないのか？
ないようだな。この辺りは道幅も狭くて徐行運転はするだろうが、止まったりすると随分と目立つぞ。
となると走りながら捨てたか。なあ、オズミ、遺体はどっちに捨てられていた？
I gestured to both sides of the street in order to clarify my question.
すべての部位はこっちの路肩に落ちていたな。
Uzomi promptly pointed to the right.
それがどうかしたか？
Because that probably would have been the way he was driving.
犯人が去った方向がわからないだろうかと思ったんだが、もし犯人が一人だとすると、遺体を捨てるには運転しながらじゃないとならない。
まあ止まらないのならばそうなるな。
そんな状態で助手席の窓に向かって遺体を投げられるか？
いや、さすがに無理だろう。俺だったらこう自分の膝の上にでも乗せて運転席側から捨てるだろうな。
そうだろうな。広い道路の場合、運転席側から物を落とすと道の真ん中に落ちるが、これだけ狭ければ進行方向の右側の路肩に落とせる。
つまり向こう側、新宿方面に走っていったってことか。
Uzomi pointed down the road where we'd come from.
まあ、そうとも限らないんだけどな。
どういうことだ？
A coy smile rested on my face as I elaborated.
今のは単独犯という過程での話だ。もしも複数犯で助手席に人間が乗っていたとしたら、話は全く変わってくる。
そうか。
Oh, I didn't even realize it. I'm pretty sure his eyebrows like move. Am I wrong in that?
そうなると進行方向の左側、つまり車は石神井方面に走っていったということになる。
結局何も
Oh, that's
分
just
か
the
ってね
face
えんじゃねえ
transition.
か。
I just happened to catch only the eyebrows at one time.
ま、そういうことさ。
I rose to my feet.
これは一旦大場女学院へ行く。東子の容体も報告しておきたいからな。送ってくれ。
なんで俺が？
夏目さんの観察結果が出るまではまだかかるだろう。別に待っていてくれとは言わねえから。
公木をタクシー代わりに使うんじゃねえよ。
I got out of the car in front of the school gates.
悪いな、ウォズミ。
うるせえ。さっさと行っちまえ。
Uzomi cursed under his breath before taking off again. Oh boy. It felt like all this stuff would steamroll my mind unless I joked around like this every now and then.
佐伯教頭。
I called for Saiki the moment I entered the staff room.
どうされましたか、時坂先生。
つい先ほど、朽木さんの様子を見に行ってきました。どうやら容体が思わしくないようで、二度。
そうですか。元気になるといいのですが。
あと、これはまだ公表されていませんが、先ほど新たな遺体が発見されました。おそらく綴り子、よそみやさんの件と。
またですか。
Saiki hung his head and performed the sign of the cross.
またしばらくこちらに来られなくなるかもしれません。
ええ、十分承知しています。ぜひとも事件を早く解決なさってください。
Saiki bowed to me. I mean, it's strange to me because it's like you saw in the hospital that Toko just ran away. And, you know, beforehand, we were so on top of, oh, this person didn't show up to school. We gotta track him down, make sure they're okay. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, oh, Toko, who the fuck is that? Like, I get there's a lot going on, but, I mean, come on. I left the staff room and found Yukari waiting in the hallway.
どうした、ゆかり。
パトカーから降りてきた兄さんの姿を見かけたものですから。何かあったのですか?
And, okay, you gotta feel bad for Yukari, right? One of her friends got fucking dismembered and murdered. Another one of them just got hit by a fucking truck. And she's gonna find out that another one of them just got dismembered and murdered. I mean, Jesus Christ.
ただ魚住のやつにここまで送ってもらっただけだよ。
I decided to keep quiet about the murder that had just happened. My sister had already been going through enough shit the past week as it stood.
そうですか。水原さんが来ていないから心配していたんです。
Wait, what?
自宅から連絡は来ていないのか？
おそらくないと思います。
Yukari shook her head.
そうか。
The Mizuharas live in Shakuji. That wasn't too far from where the new body had been found. It can't be.
何かとても嫌な予感がします。
ゆかり。彼女の持ち物を何か一つ持ってきてくれ。
兄さん、まさか。
Yukari gasped.
今朝また見つかった。まだ身元も分かっていない。
そんな。
まだ何も分かっちゃいないんだ。
おそらく部室に行けば水原さんの使っていた道具があると思います。
Yukari took my hand and began walking me over. We went into the art room, whereupon Yukari brought over some art supplies.
これが水原さんのものです。
ああ。
I opened the box and retrieved one of the pencils with the handkerchief.
兄さん。
気憂に終わればいいんだが。
But I had to go visit Natsume to be sure.
ゆかり、お前は授業に戻れ。
Yukari left the art room, her head dropping low. With that settled, my first order of business was swinging by Natsume's to get the fingerprints analyzed. Paying a visit to the Mizuhara residence afterwards sounded pretty prudent as well. I took the Seibu line over to Takadano Baba and headed straight for the Takashido clinic.
夏目さん。
おや、えらい早くに来ましたな。
Natsume was chowing down on some noodles atop the autopsy table.
もう終わったんですか？
うん、終わっとります。両手両足だけやさかい。あんま時間もかかりまへんねん。
それで結果は？
まあ解剖するまでもなく同一犯ですやろな。
Natsume flipped through a report.
死亡推定時刻は昨晩4月11日の深夜。切断面は前回と同様、生前にノコギリのようなもので切ったと思われます。
身元は分かりましたか？
指紋は取れましたけど、今のところ行方不明者のリストからは見つかっておりません。
では、これについている指紋と照合してください。
I held Toko's pencil out to Natsume.
さすがは時坂藩やね。もう当たりをつけておりましたか。
大場女学院の学生のものです。現場近くに住んでいて、今日はまだ居場所の確認が取れていません。
そうですか。ほいならちょいと調べてみましょうかね。
Natsume gulped down her noodle broth and got up.
すぐ終わらせますさかい。ちょいと待ってておくんなまし。
ええ。
Natsume went over to a workbench.
こんだけ跡が残っとるならこんなでええやろかな。
She muttered to herself as she got to work.
夏目さん、電話借ります。
ええよ。
I decided to do everything I could during the meantime. Thus, I dialed Obergirls Academy.
もしもし、こちら大場女学院。
佐伯共同ですか？時坂です。
どうなされましたか？
水原東子さんの自宅の電話番号を教えてほしいのですが。
水原さん。そういえば、今日は休んでいると報告がありましたね。
電話をして確認などはしていますか？
いえ、そういう報告は受けていませんが、少々お待ちください。
I could hear Saiki fishing through papers on the other end of the line.
お待たせしました。番号は
I recorded the number Saiki gave me.
担任に聞いたところ、こちらから連絡を入れたりはしていないそうです。
そうですか。では、こちらから電話します。お手数かけてしまい申し訳ありません。それでは。
I hung up and immediately called the number I just wrote down. The phone rang. However, no one picked up no matter how long I waited. Not home, maybe. Natsume looked my way after I hung up.
出ましたえ？
そうですか。
I was pretty sure I knew the answer from the look on her face.
同じでしたか。
Excuse me.
うん。右手の人差し指の指紋がぴったり一致しましたわ。
遺体の身元は水原東子。大場女学院の学生です。そう報告書に書いておいてください。
わかりましたえ。時坂藩はこれからどないしますの？
水原さんの自宅へ行って報告してきます。
さようですか。嫌なお仕事ですな。
誰かがやらないとならないんですよ。
And with that, I left the clinic. I got off at Kamiyugusa on the Seibu Shinjuku line and headed north until I arrived at the Mizuhara residence. Mio hadn't picked up, but knowing her, I knocked on the door.
水原さん、オーバー女学院の時坂です。
Since there was no immediate response, I called out to her. A few seconds later, I heard audible movement from within. The door cracked open a peek.
何か。
水原さん、
瞳子？
申し訳ありませんが、中でお話しさせてもらってもよろしいでしょうか。
ええ。
I slipped through the gap in the door and went in.
すみません。散らかっていますが。
いえ。先ほどお電話もしたのですが、留守だったんですか？
それは、その。
Mio hung her head. She'd probably been pretending she wasn't home. Not that I planned on raking her over the coals for it, really.
瞳子が何か。
今日、瞳子さんはどうされていますか？
え？
Mio turned toward the door. Toku's room was probably behind it.
学院へ行ったはずだと思いますけど。
ご存知ないんですね。
はい。今日は見ていません。
いつから会っていませんか？
昨日は確か、そう、朽木さんのお見舞いに行くと言っていました。
その後、見ていないと？
ええ、私も出かけていましたから。
そうですか。
Again, I wasn't going to talk down to her for that.
瞳子が何か。
今朝、下湯草付近の早稲田通り沿い、こちらの近くでバラバラになった手足が発見され、鑑定の結果、瞳子さんの指紋と一致しました。
え？
Mio looked at me like she'd been struck by lightning.
それはどういう。
残念ながら、瞳子さんが殺害され、遺棄されたものと思われます。
Damn. Imagine having to tell somebody that your daughter was murdered and dismembered. Mio fell prostrate atop the dining table.
まさか、そんな。
水原さん、申し訳ありませんが、瞳子さんのお部屋を拝見させてもらってもよろしいですか？
はい。
Mio nodded. It seemed like she still hadn't come to terms with the truth, but I didn't have time to waste. I had to find a clue. Something. Anything. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. This game. So, Jesus,
Mother Mary of Joseph.
So I think right now my biggest thing is that Mizuhara seemingly wandered to this guy's house. Now the interesting thing is, she seemed to show some level of familiarity or recognition of the place. Despite her saying that, oh, I've never been in this town before. When she was there, she expressed, like, I forget what the exact wording of it was, but it was something to the effect of, like, oh, this place is familiar, right? Let's see if we can find it in the logs. We'll have to go a long way back, so it might not even be worth it, but... okay, so it only goes back so far. Okay. But yeah, no, I mean, it seemed to me that she had some kind of faint familiarity with the place. And then, obviously the fact that she just happened to wander there. And that place just happened to catch her eye. So that tells us a couple things. This might be me misinterpreting this, but there is the potential that Toko had some kind of previous interaction with either that house or maybe whoever lived at that house. There might be some kind of familiarity there. Again, I might be wrong on that one. The ones I'm more confident of are we know now not only where the killer lives. I mean, well, yeah, we know where the killer lives. We know that the house has a distinctive look to it. So it's not like some kind of quiet, like obscure, cookie cutter thing. It's something that was enough to catch Mizuhara's eyes and kind of temporarily take her out of that stupor that she was in. And then it also gives a little bit more insight into the MO of this, because this seemed so random, right? Like there wasn't any profiling of the victim. It wasn't like, it was just, oh, she just is at my house, so I'm gonna invite her inside, drug her, and then kill her, and that was it. I mean, I guess at this point, really all you could say about an MO is just, they kill high school girls. And that's really all we have to go off of. I opened the door to find a bare bones room that you never imagined belonging to a girl Toko's age. The time to look for clues had come. Clothes were hanging from the wall, her casual wear if I had to guess. They looked odd to me, probably because I'd never seen her in anything aside from her uniform. They looked plain, yet also a good match for her. A vase unfit for such a dreary room was sitting there. Now, it wasn't all that odd for a girl her age to have something like this in her room, but it felt off for some reason. Let's see. Posters, maybe? Okay. The bookshelves were stuffed with paperbacks. Most of them were foreign children's novels, such as The Wonderful Wizard of Oz and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. The books were terribly worn. She must have read them from cover to cover more times than I could ever dream of counting. Upon closer inspection, I noticed scuff marks on the floor beneath the bookcase. That was the only spot where the tatami mat was clean. I mean, the bookcase probably had been moved recently. I looked behind the bookcase and spotted something stuck there. Curious, I pulled it out. It appeared to be a magazine. May 1956 edition. The latest edition, it seemed. There were several familiar authors' names on the cover. It must have been a literary magazine then. Shin Katsuragi's name was one of them. It seemed he was publishing a new novel in the magazine titled The Shell of Sheol. This guy again, huh? And to top it all off, the story was even bookmarked. Had Toko been reading it? Whatever the case, something didn't sit right with me. Listen, if you guys have watched my past videos on this series, you know damn well what I think of Shin Katsuragi, so I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just let it simmer. Thus, I decided to keep the magazine for the time being. Nothing more to see. Nothing more to see, okay. I'm just checking. I checked the row of books atop the desk. Some of them looked like diaries. What the? Several photos fell out as soon as I opened one. There were shots of Toko. Furthermore, I found some stationery inside as well. It turned out they were letters from Toko. I'll just take these for now. I leafed through the diary. I'd been hoping to find some clues inside, but what I found instead left me completely speechless. The pages were all filled with neatly written notes on Toko. Just about every aspect of Toko's life was written there, from what times she went out to the most minor things she'd do in her day-to-day life. It almost seemed like some sort of observation log on her. Well, at least we're finally figuring out how fucking crazy she is. There's a picture book on the desk. It appeared to be by a foreign author. I checked the wastebasket next to the desk. A torn photo was mixed in with tissues and miscellaneous refuse. It was a photo of Toko herself. She must have had some reason for destroying it. Maybe it was a symbol of self-loathing. I think that's it, right? That's all we got. I mean, sure. Nothing odd, okay. The vase didn't feel right, I remember that. Oh, wait. A small piece of paper was stuck even further in the back. What is that? I tried reaching for it, but it was a little too far away, and so I reluctantly moved the bookcase to grab it. Well. What do you know? It was a black and white photograph, but why would Toko have it? I couldn't imagine it had come from the magazine. and the cover and pages had said nothing about a bonus like that. Besides, it appeared to just be an ordinary photo from what I could tell of the paper anyway. When and where had this been taken, and why was it here of all places? Whatever the reason, I just have to ask the man himself. Oh my god, I'm so glad that I fucking checked. Holy shit, I'm so glad that I double checked. Oh my god, what a find. I mean, I don't think there's anything else, right? Yeah, no, I think that's it. I took one final look at Toko's room with my investigation concluded. I hadn't found any decisive evidence in here, but it probably turned up everything noteworthy. The things that weighed most heavily on my mind were the photo of Shin Katsuragi and that magazine with his novel. Why did she hide those? I glanced at the living room and saw Mio still slumped across the table. Didn't look like I would get anything out of her for the moment. Well, the thing is, she got the magazine from when she snuck into her mom's office and was like looking through them. But I do forget why she specifically grabbed the one from Shin Katsuragi. I might have to go back and rewatch my own fucking video to catch myself up on this. But very interesting. Mio consented, face still buried. I left Mizuhara residence. For now, I decided I'd have a little chit-chat with Katsuragi, though maybe that lead would turn out to be a dead end as well. His office was in Nakano, so I figured I'd take a bus over. And we're gonna stop it right there. I know, I'm sorry, this is like... listen, this isn't any easier for me. This whole time, I've been sitting here... You know what? I'm gonna gloat a little bit. From the fucking get-go, from that first fucking deduction that we could make where we ended up pinning Kusaka for it, from that very first fucking time, I was nailed on Katsuragi. I just didn't trust that slimy little bastard. Why else Shin Katsuragi, the author of the book that led and inspired all these fucking deaths, and we only meet him once? And that one time we meet him, he's dismissive as all hell, as all get out? Yeah, buddy, you're at the number one, you're at the very top of my list of suspects right there. So now, not only... First off, the photo of Shin Katsuragi, I don't know if it came with the magazine. I have to look back and I have to rewatch that episode. Because I do remember that the magazine, at least, we had stolen from Mizuhara had stolen from her mother. But the photo I don't believe she did, meaning she had that beforehand. Now, this goes back. Listen, this is all fucking coming together. Why did Suzuriko get so chatty and friendly and walk away with this man clad in all black if she didn't know him? Who out of everybody that we've been introduced to in this story would have gained her trust so well that that interaction would have happened? Maybe the fucking author that she absolutely loves and is obsessed with, Shin Katsuragi? No, just throwing that out there. With Toko. Toko, of all people, who hates men. She hates men and is really distrusting and hateful of everybody except Toko. And she offers the invitation of some presumably random stranger to go into their home, have a chat, and drink coffee? Even in that emotionally distressed state she was in, I don't think that would happen. That's not realistic to her character. But if she happened to know somebody, and out of all the people that she might have known, who would it be? Maybe the guy who she has a fucking photo of hidden behind her bookshelf, and the guy whose novel serialization was put into a magazine that she just so happened to steal from her mom. Maybe, just throwing it out there. Everything points to this bastard as being the killer, and I've been on his ass since the fucking start, mind you. All right, I'm just saying. I'm gonna toot my own horn. All right, I'm gonna toot my own horn. And next episode, we're going to confront this motherfucker. Now, granted, we're probably not going to get any grand confession out of him, but I'm liking the fact that this is kind of sort of seemingly starting to turn the spotlight over to him now. I'm just saying. But that's going to be it for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when a new one of these videos comes out. Anyways, that's it from me.
And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.